Oil isn't getting expensive. Money is getting weaker. Every news channel argues about gas prices. But oil doesn't just move cars anymore. It reveals stress fractures in the global financial system. Here's a question most people never ask. If oil is supposedly outdated, why does every major war, sanction, and trade dispute still revolve around it? Because oil isn't just energy. It's power. Most people think oil prices move for simple reasons. Supply goes down, prices go up, demand drops, prices fall. That explanation worked in the 1990s. Today, oil prices reflect something much deeper. They reflect trust. Trust in currencies. Trust in trade routes. Trust in political stability. Oil is no longer just a commodity. It's a financial signal. And right now, that signal is flashing. To understand what's happening now, we need to rewind. After World War II, the world needed a stable system. Europe was destroyed. Asia was rebuilding. Trade needed a neutral settlement layer. That layer became the US dollar. In the 1970s, the deal was formalized. Oil would be priced in dollars. In return, the United States would guarantee security, trade routes, and stability. This created something incredibly powerful: artificial demand for dollars. If you wanted energy, you needed dollars. If you needed dollars, you had to trade with the US system. Oil wasn't just fuel. It was the glue holding the monetary order together. Here's the wild part. The dollar didn't win because it was backed by gold. It won because it was backed by oil and aircraft carriers. Every system depends on trust, and trust decays when abused. Over time, the US began using the dollar as a weapon. Sanctions, asset freezes, exclusions from payment systems. From a political standpoint, it made sense. From a financial standpoint, it was a warning shot, because the moment money becomes a weapon, everyone starts planning an exit. Not loudly, quietly. Now look at what's happening. Oil trades settled in local currencies, bilateral energy agreements outside the dollar, new payment rails that bypass traditional systems. This isn't rebellion, it's risk management. Countries aren't trying to destroy the dollar. They're trying to avoid being trapped by it. Currencies don't collapse in a dramatic explosion. They weaken slowly as alternatives gain credibility. Oil is the key variable in that transition. Currencies don't die from panic. They die from competition. Have you noticed something strange? Oil prices often spike even when production barely changes. That's because oil prices include a premium for fear. Fear of shipping disruptions, fear of sanctions, fear of frozen assets, fear of instability. Oil prices are a real-time poll of global confidence. When trust drops, oil reprices upward. Not because there's less oil, but because the system feels fragile. Here's where this hits everyday life. Energy feeds into everything: food, manufacturing, transportation, housing. When oil is unstable, inflation becomes sticky. Central banks can raise rates. They can crush demand. But they can't print energy. That's why energy-driven inflation is the hardest to kill. You can raise interest rates. You can't raise oil reserves with a keyboard. Most investors are trained on one story. Stocks go up long-term. Bonds protect you. Diversification solves everything. That story assumes stable money. But during monetary transitions, the rules change. Long-term bonds become dangerous. Valuations compress. Purchasing power erodes quietly. Your portfolio can grow numerically while shrinking in reality. This isn't a pitch to go all in on oil stocks. It's about understanding what oil tells you. Oil is a stress test for currencies. Oil is a warning system for inflation. Oil exposes geopolitical fault lines before headlines do. Ignoring oil is like ignoring smoke, because you don't see flames yet. Smoke doesn't mean the house is gone. It means you still have time to move. Institutional investors don't predict. They position. They ask different questions. What happens if inflation stays structurally higher? What happens if currency dominance weakens? What assets survive system changes? That's why real assets matter more during transitions. Energy, infrastructure, logistics. Productive businesses. Not hype, not narratives. Ownership. This won't end tomorrow. Monetary transitions take decades. That's what makes them dangerous. People don't change behavior until damage is obvious. By then, compounding has already been lost. The biggest losses in history didn't come from crashes. They came from slow erosion. Nobody panics during a slow leak until the tank is empty. Oil isn't becoming irrelevant. It's becoming more important, not as fuel, but as a signal. A signal that the monetary order is shifting. A signal that power is decentralizing. A signal that old assumptions deserve questioning. This isn't the end of money. It's the end of pretending money is neutral. Oil reflects trust. Energy pricing is becoming political. Currencies depend on energy settlement. And inflation follows oil, not press conferences. Oil doesn't predict the future. It reveals the present. If you want to see how energy-driven inflation affects your long-term purchasing power, check the link below. And let me ask you this. Do you think oil loses importance in the next 20 years? Or becomes even more powerful? Write your answer in the comments.